thank you. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can definitely pick us up if you're watching us on Facebook Live. You can also go to YouTube, our YouTube channel, My Brother's Keeper YouTube channel, or you can go to LinkedIn. Any one of those vehicles can get you the information, the content, and you can see the handsome Dr. Brian Champion. By the way, is the co-host.
You got ready to do your Tony the Tiger voice. It was almost like, he's great.
Ladies,
Thank you. I like the way you kind of got a little choked up introducing me. Come on, let's get it. Let's try it again.
Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we're live, right? So he's putting me on the spot. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce our co-host, wingman extraordinaire, Dr. Brian Champion.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give some likes and some hearts and all that good stuff going on.
I'm so glad to be here. Man, I tell you, it's been a good run. For the last few months since March, you know, that we've had together. So, you know, I'm just enjoying this run that we have been sharing together.
Yes, you know, it's quite amazing because again, this shifting, you know, because again, we came from St. Matthew, where I pastor, and then now we're over in the community, and I think this is where we're needed. In the sense that, you know, where the people, it's like it's a urgency. Not to say that there's not a need where the church, where a pastor is, but there's an urgency, more of an urgency here. So I feel the need. And I feel that heartbeat. So it's like, you know, it's like ready to roll and really release, you know, all of what God has in store for us. Because again, this is a season that God has called for impact. We are to impact. So I want to be able to impact this community with everything that My Brother's Keeper have, as well as its resources and withal. So definitely, I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for being a part of the show. I thank you so much for hanging out with us for the last 5 years through many transitions, ups and downs, and around the corners. Hey, you guys have been an absolute constant. So we definitely thank you. And also remember that we are at the Angels of Hope Ministries in Southeast Washington, D.C., where it's the co-op, the People's, I think it's the People's Co-op, formerly Jeffrey Terrace, Angels of Hope Ministries, with the Reverend Alfred Harrison, Claudia Harrison. They are the founders and co-founders of this organization that impacts a community. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can, please, I mean, this couple, this marriage, they've been here over 25 years, but they've been hitting the ground running. They've been sharing from the bosom of their heart, and it shows when you see them come in the community, or you see the after effects of them having been in the community with sponsoring young people to college, or just school supplies, or ballet dancing. Hey, this couple is simply phenomenal when it comes to ministry. So when we talk about living purpose, we're talking about the example of Reverend Claudia and Reverend Alfred Harrison, and definitely you can tell the fruit by its labor. Claudina Harrison, now I believe it's Baker, she just got married. Congratulations. Congratulations. So definitely you see it in her dance, and you see the administration and her son, Alfred, their son, Alfred Harrison, I think the second, and the gift of administration, as well as the musical talents of another daughter, and that's Jaira. Definitely, you can tell a tree by the fruit of its labor, and definitely this is a ministry that continued to bud and grow. And again, 25 years, simply awesome. Simply awesome. Proud to be in this place, in this setting, to give some of what we have, and God thankful that we are even able to collaborate with the Harrisons in their their ministry of what they do. So definitely we give a shout out and our hats go off, and with a great big thank you for allowing my brother's keeper to come into the community to broadcast and to put our hands on the pulse of the people. Well, one thing I want to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is 49 days until we vote. Vote. And you can find all the information if you're registered, you're not registered, if you are a returning citizen. Vote.org. If you are previously moved, you want to know. Vote.org. You can get all of that information. It is so important, ladies and gentlemen, that we vote. Your local, your city council, county executives, your mayor, your sheriff, your judges, delegates, governors, your senators, vote, vote, vote. Because we are able to cause the movement by our vote and our vote. So definitely I'm encouraging you to continue to get out and see what it is that you can make happen. Because again, when we talk about vote, and for the technical difficulties, and again, we are broadcasting from a different location, and it kind of presents some difficulties, but we're going to be on it and making sure that we're on point. But please forgive us, and thank you for continuing to stay with us. For your census, and that's census.gov, 2020 census.gov. It's time to make sure that your city, your state, are receiving the funding that your no more than about 5 to 10 minutes of taking and filling out that form, ladies and gentlemen. So definitely go out and go out and be counted. But again, we are definitely extending our apologies for the technical difficulties. We will make sure that this will air, whether it is live or we're going to, or whatever other vehicle that we do have. But we're working out the kinks, ladies and gentlemen. So definitely thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Welcome, Dr. Champion.
Well, thank you.
Wingman extraordinaire. Thank you for being in the house.
Well, glad to be in the house. As you were talking about the election and the need to vote, I was thinking in my mind of a commercial I heard this week, and how it was intended to encourage people to vote.
Okay.
But sometimes our messaging can be a little short-sighted. And it said that this election, we need to vote more than ever.
Wow.
And while I agree that vote that we find ourselves allowing someone to sneak past us because we're thinking, well, this election is not important. I know in those, what do you call it, the midterm elections, where people often will say, well, we're not voting for president, or we're not voting for other individuals. We're still always voting for our congressperson.
Absolutely.
Maybe we're not voting for our mayor or our governor at a particular election, and so we need to always consider that every election is important. If it's the president of the United States, or if it's the dog catcher in the neighborhood. Because what I'm saying is I don't want stray dogs that I was not a constituent.
Yes.
And the way you become a constituent to a politician is by voting. And that's the only way that your voice is heard, through your vote, regardless of what you vote for. The thing is, it's recorded that you vote. And once it's recorded that you constituent, voted, all their lives. First of all, they talk. Their parents were not to vote in all types of elections, and so they looked at the right of voting as more than just a right. They looked at it as also a obligation. And when we begin to look at our obligation to vote, we really walk into the booth with a different mindset and a different, recognizing it's a different authority that we have and less authority.
Absolutely. I definitely agree 100%, Dr. Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that we were talking about voting and census, but I want to be able to shift right now because it's about 7:30, the bottom half of the 7 o'clock hour, and wanted to really get into the first week of our discussion with Pastor Battle's book, Side Chickology, Why Men and Women Cheat, and Understanding, Avoiding, and Recovering from Infidelity. This is a very powerful book because, again, a lot of times, or oftentimes, we're not discussing or really talking about the real issue, that causes the wound. So if I'm shot, I don't need you putting a bandage on my wound. I need you to go in and retrieve that bullet and then suture me up properly, and then the healing can begin. And we do know that you can overcome infidelity, but you need the tools that are necessary to survive and thrive in a good relationship. So in other words, it's going to take the work. And oftentimes we're told to do the work, but yet and still we're not given the tools. But this next 5 weeks, and so how we're going to work this thing out, we're going to break it down. Of knowledge, and we definitely thank Pastor Keith Battle, pastor of Zion Church, for the opportunity to be able to use this, his book, Side Chickology, to be one of the books so that we could spotlight it, to do a sharing and a discussion of a very much needed topic that is going on in our society. I want to go beyond even the church and say our society, because once we begin to really understand our society has a need, then I believe that we can be able to go in and get the bullet that has caused the wound or caused the bleeding and could possibly hit an artery. So it depends on the type of infidelity. It's dependent upon the type of wound that you will receive. But definitely there is help. So just hang out with us the next 5 weeks, and I'm sure you're going to be blessed. I was Yeah, they do. Children change the dynamic. When you turn around and you get married and everything's been flowing, all of a sudden we add children. We had a BC before children, and then we have an AD, after they have come into the relationship. So again, a lot of this information is in this book. And ladies, this even talk about about it and the enormous cost of infidelity and the road to recovery and rebuilding trust in the marriage and how to fall in love again. And so not only, I believe I interviewed Pastor Battle, what was it, last year?
Correct.
And as he was on our show, he talked about not only did he write the book, but he also spoke from a place of healing from infidelity. So it's not just somebody that and we definitely again appreciate him and his wife and his family. But so that we may, so as we're able to utilize necessary tools to build strong marriages. Strong marriages. So we invite you to take this journey with the My Brother's Keeper show as we touch, again, the tough topics no one else want to touch. And again, if you want to purchase this book, go to sagacitycommunity.com, SAGACITY, community.com. Okay, here is a startling fact of some numbers here. 57% of men and 54% of women admit to committing infidelity in a relationship they've had. Found that interesting because 95% of the persons guilty of unfaithfulness, when confronted with their infidelity by their mates initially, they deny it. Wow. Why do men and women cheat? I just want to throw that topic out there. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a whole Dr.
The segment, I thought you. What for what reason?
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean,
Initially, it's because they're trying to save the relationship, and that's the reason.
but that's the reality. And ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be, we're coming live, we're coming straight. So, but definitely we want to be, we're coming from the hip and we're being real. And is that you first must admit that this is something that is happening. So therefore, when you recognize that this is a challenge, then therefore the healing and some of recognizing the tools, and then the healing can begin. Because if you can feel it, I believe you can heal it. So, and when we talk about 57% of men, 54% of the women admit to committing the infidelity, and then they turn around and say, well, then 95%. But I think that had a lot to, or the 5% that do say that there is something going on, I think that's the 5% that have some hope in the relationship.
Okay.
That say, hey, you know what? I believe that this is salvage. And so for the I don't know why he did that, but I still love her. You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't know why he did this, but I still love her. If she say, I don't know why he did this, one of the bigger things is that why do you think men and women cheat?
You're asking. Well, one, I think that in today's society, if you look at pop music and popular, it is the pleasure principle, where you think of short-term satisfaction rather than long-term consequences.
Absolutely.
And so oftentimes we think of those things, you watch a movie and you see a hot sex scene between two people. They're riding on the elevator, they look at each other, they've never seen each other before. All of a sudden something hits and they press the button, the elevator stops, and they have this wild sex scene. And you think that's hot, but at the same time, that's TV. That's the movies. These are not what's happening. But we began looking for those moments at the risk of harming the sanctity of our relationship.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. Even when you talk about when you see, and then the movie subliminally put something and suggest something to you, and sometimes it's not even the subliminal piece. It's sometimes that the need is no longer being met. When we originally came together, you were meeting needs. She met your need, you met her need. But as I was sharing that, and we'll get more into the book when we talk about BC, before the children. And so after the children, there's some different dynamics going on. So therefore, before the children, she was more attentive. She was able to really give and meet, and that created something in you, didn't it?
Again, yeah. I mean, I think there's that portion or whatever. But again, when you look at that, it still deals with some of the basic tenets of you looking at the short term. Even getting that cookie might mean that the cookies get put away, or she doesn't buy cookies anymore. So you got a cookie today, but probably a really bad, segue. Talking about cookies, So I mean, but that toy that your mother tells you not to play, the same thing. But, so anyhow, the thing is that
that's the reality, though.
Yeah, you have times in your life, and there's no difference when it comes to male-female relationships that you do something that you shouldn't do, based on the fact that you're looking at it from the short term and rather than the long term impact. And the reality is, and I think a lot of people fool themselves, that they think they get into a relationship or they get married and all of a sudden the gene that attracts you to other people goes away.
Oh.
And so when you think that and believe that, then you find yourself being comfortable in situations allow you to act on that attraction. Well, what happens is if you recognize that that is there and present, if you want to be responsible, you begin to do what you can to avoid opportunity. There was a man that told me one time, and I'm trying to make sure I got this right. He said there's 3 elements. He said right time, right person, right place. He said if 2 of the 3 elements are present at any time, you have the possibility of something transacting. So, with that in mind, sometimes you have to recognize that because intentional in this because it's human. And then, like I said, add on top of that, that we have turned cheating into being sexy or something to brag about. You know, in young men, and I've told this to women. Not thinking of it as matters, men never really say that to their children. So that's the first sign of it. But then secondly, then it gets reinforced as so it's a be intentional about
and become the reality. So again, as you begin to
and for those of you out there who want to look at this clinically, this is stage 3. Adult, and his socialized mind begins to tell him it's okay. Now, things are okay. Like accepting this, and when they begin to accept it, it also
online. I'm quite sure there should be somebody talking back online because I mean, you know, this is a high out of barrage of answers, but again, there's going to be what we're going to be able to go in and make that surgical cut. In the state of affairs, Esther Pearl states that because there among American couples vary widely, ranging from 26 to 70% of women and these are the people who are willing to be forthcoming with such information. So I want men and women cheat, and then I'm going to reverse it and say, why do you cheat? And read along, and then as you are uncovering to discover, so you can definitely recover out of.
Foundational for our discussion and our conversation. 57% of men and 54% of women surveyed. Now, in any type of the myth that men are cheaters. And so when we cheat, will automatically society. I really doubt if the undergirding thing that leads to cheating is any.
But often, very often, do you hear something of a woman cheating on her husband? You know, that makes the media, you know, and it goes wrong.
And keep letting it go. You know, and a woman that has been, you know, gets marked in a way culturally where, again, well, you know, I don't expect women to cheat. So if you believe that when a woman does it, it blows your mind. There's something wrong with her. You know, and that's where we have to move to a place of being equitable and fair regarding our expectations. Certain activity.
And even when you talk about coming together and when you that need, again, I can't get past the need, because when you first come together, there are needs that are being met, and in the course of needs shifting, again, we are caught in the hustle and bustle of our society that we remove our hands. That opens a door. So again, I think that's one of the reasons we can say that infidelity, whether emotional, whether physical, it happens.
with you, but let me just say this, and this is one thing I believe, is when we to cheating. You know, it's like, oh, she got fat. Or it's like
something really wrong.
I mean, it's like really fun. And da da da. And you sit there looking. Slacks or dress shoes since your wedding. Yeah. And you talking about she don't dress up no more.
We try to justify why we do what we do.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's why I say, but we you say when he was married to Hannah, is that the right couple?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I mean, he said some number that was in the double digits. Oh, for like the longest streak in history. Like nobody else has ever been on the cover of that. He's had double-digit affairs, and so obviously, when people say things like that, oftentimes. Now, that's not to say that they didn't have other things, and sometimes it goes to the fact that we got married for the wrong.
We have to address our own demons and where and what we are and what we have become, and the actual things where you uncovered somebody's CRA.
We got to look inside.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely concur. Yeah. I concur wholeheartedly. Looking inside to see what the real issue is.
Right. And I'm laughing, and I'm just saying this because as I'm well, more likely or if he makes less money than I do, then I'm gone. These are the types of things that
allow them and let them know that you need to get out and you need in the book a side slick. You know,
Okay.
side battle. Of who you are, and prayerfully it's the essence of truth. It's the essence of truth, and they can build
Are side pieces themselves.
that was a #1 hit.
Like that,
absolutely.
make it sexy.
Yes.
But what I was going to say is, because how many married people are involved with another married person in these relationships? And I say that because I remember somebody say to me one time, I want, this person acknowledging that he will step out, had basically said, nah, I can't deal with that because she got nothing to lose. I need a. So how many
I look at the cheating, and again, going back to beginning of time, and so therefore, the Eve, when she certain things because of what we're not getting. So if I'm not getting affection, and this brother comes in to the office and shows me some affection, or bring me a flower and say something like, hey, you know what, these flowers were just outside. He pulled the side slick on her and say, these flowers were outside, but hey, you know what, would you like these? Gradual process beginning. And so when the woman begins to feel, then she's shutting off over here and opening up over here. So that's just real talk, and so therefore that's why I say needs aren't being met. So therefore, when we, and this is further down the line, but we have to be in a place where we're able to communicate and keep it 100, keep it real, so that if you're getting home before your wife, you do want to make sure that, so if you want to be able to be intimate with her in that space, you want to make sure that the tone is set. before she gets there. And throughout the day, you gotta sow some good seed. So therefore, by the time it won't be you won't be hearing that no, no, no. Because after a while, when a man continues to hear no after so much, he'll start attempting to intimate. He'll stop trying to be with her.
Sleep sometimes. Good at home, we're okay. Excuse me. But so we allow ourselves to get in a situation to check two of those corners of the triangle.
Okay, but and again, I'm glad you brought that point. And now segue right into there's no barriers. Is what I'm speaking about biblically. So now you've thrown off the restraints. Because that's
I want you to be able to introduce
you can pick up the book for $20. It's an excellent. You can always go back and you can revisit some. Last week, you missed the opportunity of Dr. Champion singing Ray Parker Jr.'s Meets Love.
No.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, is that the same song? Is that the same song? We have a wager on you, okay? All right. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing
I think they're on the same album though. But
but definitely you missed an opportunity to hear just the lyrics of men understand that a woman needs love just like we do. And don't get yourself into thinking that she don't. And she can fool around just like you do. That's the reality. And so again, all we can do is avoid those types of situations most assuredly by at least just when you dating her, she ain't just all of a sudden jump up out of nowhere and start doing whatever it is she's doing. You know who she is. Building and growing from there. So again, that's what Side Chick I don't know if a lot of people understand or even know because they don't know how to govern themselves. And so therefore, you know, the introduction of what it is about, and I will. And so I'm God thankful, and I'd like to just give a shout out to Pastor Battle again for allowing us to really, you know, use this as the book club model for the next few weeks. Definitely appreciate it, Dr. Champion.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
I'm just waiting to for us to go look up the great park thing.
Oh, you would.
Because I'm hungry.
But thank you so much.
Like that, he'll pay for your dinner too.
It's 8:15. Oh, it's 8:15. Okay. Well, we were off air because of technical difficulties, so we just really just catching up. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you. I'd like to thank the listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight for the first of the next few weeks of what we're going to be talking about. And